Zoom ever.
Oh, really?
So
I've been
I've
using
never
Zoom, but I still
okay,
am bad at
whatever.
it.
We'll see if I turn into a potato at some point. Did you see that girl turn herself into a potato on accident in a Zoom call?
That wasn't in Zoom. That was something else. There's no potato fun.
Nice. So cool. Well, we'll see how this goes. I know we can play with our backgrounds at some point, but I was doing that for a little while and it just got a little distracting. So
I understand.
Yeah. Well, we are actually live on YouTube right now. So hi guys, how's it going?
Very good.
Awesome.
Thriving as usual.
Glad to hear it. Welcome to SnailShop Talk, which you guys really don't necessarily have a shop, but we'll talk trucks and talk experiences and talk overlanding. So it doesn't necessarily matter.
Sounds good.
Let's see here. Mary and Mac are a husband and wife team. They've been living and working on the road since April of 2016. They are designers, illustrators, animators, photographers, and their work is driven by their mobile lives. Mac and Owen are firm believers that life is too short and this is the world, and that the world is too small and you should not be sitting still. Mac and Owen, welcome to SnailShop Talk. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is it weird that it feels like Friday?
Doesn't it always feel like Friday?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what day it is anymore.
Right. So let's give a little background about you guys. Who are you? Where do you come from? Where are you now? Because I know you're like nomads and you run the world. So let's find out some more about you guys.
Yeah.
Ladies first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mac. I am the female component of this team. We left Atlanta in 2016, which is where we had been living for the last, I guess it was like 4 or 5 years, pre-going on the road. We met in college. We were on the swim team together and have a huge passion for the outdoors, which is kind of what led us to be where we are right now. And more specifically right now, we're in Southern California, currently quarantined and living in some really good friends of ours' backyard, Gone Dirtin, which is Carissa in Lindbergh.
Cool.
Yep. And I'm Owen. I'm from Atlanta, born and raised. So, and then you got the rest of it from her.
Yeah.
There you go. So I know that you guys met at design school. What design school were you actually attending?
We were at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. So Savannah, Georgia. Yeah.
I almost applied to go there
really?
Back in the day. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We could have all met like so many years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm a little older than you guys. I might have been done and gone by then. But yeah, I have been to Georgia and I've been to Savannah and I went to SCAD and got a little tour and it's a cool little spot.
Yeah, they've got nice facilities. It's a really cool town. So yeah, I mean, other than the price of admission, it's a great school.
Yeah, cost of living is really inexpensive there. And I think that as designers, we have a really broad range of interests within like the art and design world. And it's one of the few schools that I personally was really attracted to just because it had all of these things to choose from because I was pretty unsure of what I wanted to major in when I showed up. And so it was just nice. Really good collaborative environment because you have access to so many other people doing a lot of other creative things.
Definitely. So you said you guys were swimmers. I coached swimming for many years. And
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I coached for high school, my local high school for a bunch of years. I swam for like up and through college. And then I coached high school for many years. And then I went on to coach the junior college and I started a year-round club team with the head coach for the college. And we started up a year-round club team.
We're living parallel lives.
Right? It's like different sides of the country.
Wow.
That's insane.
I was a 200-yard backstroker, a 400 IMer, and I did the 1 meter diving board. What did you guys do?
You were also a diver?
Yeah.
You're killing me. You're so multi-talented. I was a sprint backstroker and freestyler. I was also what they called a show dog, which I was on every relay team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Owen?
I did 200 fly.
Okay.
He was one of those ones.
One of those guys. Yeah, we had a 50 flyer that was like went sub like 19 seconds, somewhere in there, and we threw him in the 200 fly, and I thought I was gonna have to jump in and save the guy. He had no idea how to do the 200 fly. He went out in like a 30, and we're like, you need to pace yourself. He went out in like a 30, came back in a 32, and then just went like a 45, and then like a 50. He was literally swimming like straight up and down. It was so funny.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he's still alive today, so he didn't drown, so he's good.
He got resuscitated.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I had a lot of fun coaching swimming growing up all my life. I played water polo a little bit too. So
That's awesome.
That's fun. Awesome. So let's learn a little bit of how you fell into the overlanding lifestyle. Is that technically what you guys call yourself? Are you overlanders?
I don't think we really call ourselves anything.
Yeah,
because
we're lost. That's what we are.
Yeah,
because we started out in a Honda Element and just traveled around with a tent, and just tented for 6 months. And then many years later, we hopped in our Volkswagen van again and just traveled around that way. And then we moved from that to a Toyota Tacoma,
Sunraider,
and do all of these other, like, just because we're constantly like going back and forth, we just try not to call ourselves anything, because it's probably going to change in a year anyway.
Yeah, it's I'm so sorry. This was the lawnmower that I was speaking about earlier. Can you hear it?
I can't hear it.
Great.
Maybe everybody else can, but
great. But yeah, I think that we've never really liked actually, I just don't know that we like putting a term to it or not. It's just that we kind of are just we're willing to do whatever it takes to keep moving. So whatever that looks like, we're willing to try that on.
I think we just say that we're full-time travelers.
Yeah.
Right. Digital nomads.
Yeah. We're touring.
Yeah.
There you go. And you're bound for nowhere.
Yeah. Currently.
Yeah.
The irony is real with our name right now.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're stuck in one location, but has COVID really affected you otherwise? Are you not traveling because of that right now? Is that the main reason, or like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We are off the road full time right now because of this. It kind of just came down to, we are surprisingly more reliant on a lot of utilities that we thought initially when this started to happen that we were going to be a lot better off than like living in a house or an apartment, because social distancing is it's really easily built in to the way that we travel. But then we really started when Oregon started shutting down their public lands, that's when it became really real for us that we might lose access to water, to the land that we call home every night. And I think that we also rely a lot on really small towns. And so we were taking valuable resources such as food, if we got sick, a hospital bed, all that sort of stuff away from people in small communities that need every last bit of their resources for themselves. So we felt like it was important to just remove ourselves from the equation until this is all over.
Smart. Yeah. And I know that even now, like state parks and state forestry and all these BLM land are all closed down. So it's, it'd be hard to even just get out there and plant yourself down in one location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can only hold 20 gallons of fresh water, so we would have to be going back and forth unless we were camped right next to a natural water source.
Yeah.
And we've got propane, there's just all these things.
Yeah. Only can carry about 3 days worth of refrigerated food, which typically isn't a problem. We can carry much more than that. But it all just came down to potentially losing access to some really key resources that we rely on. So, but otherwise, I would say the only major effect was we had some pretty large jobs that we were supposed to be on kind of fall to the wayside just because there was something that we needed to be there in person. But luckily, the graphic design, motion graphics design side of our business has really picked up, because I think a lot of people have projects right now that they've had on the back burner for a long time. And now they have the opportunity, the time to sit through and work on those things. So we've actually been really busy, which we are very thankful for.
Yeah, that's great. It's good to hear that, the fact that you guys can work remotely, that actually work hasn't necessarily slowed down so much for you. And I know that, you know, if work does slow down a little bit, then maybe that means more YouTube videos or, you know, more Instagram or more
we
photography.
have a sliding scale of where we can use our time for sure.
Absolutely. How do you balance that?
I think that as of right now, the balance is just if we have work, we're focusing on work.
Yeah.
And if we don't, then that's when we can start to do like more less mandatory things like YouTube and other things like that. For the most part, our focus is always on our professional work,
Our
being
client work,
motion graphics and graphic design and illustration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that typically though, how we like to balance, we generally speaking, I would say work a standard 5 days a week. Typically, we've actually started to really get into the rhythm of liking working through the weekend and then taking Monday, Tuesday off. Still being accessible to clients just because they come to us because they know that they can rely on us and that we'll be there for them, even though we might be living a lifestyle that is different than them. But a lot of the places that we like to go to and circulate can be really busy on the weekends. So it's really nice to not be a part of that equation on the weekends and then go on another day where it might be a bit quieter.
Sure, that makes complete sense. In lieu with that, or in parallel with that, I know my nephew, what that is in first grade, he doesn't want to go to school on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and he wants to go to school on now Saturdays and Sundays because he's doing homeschooling, right? So he's like, why can't I choose my own weekend?
You totally can.
And
That's awesome.
to the most
You
part,
totally
he
can.
Yeah, except that if the school he goes to, they release a homework packet in the morning and expect the kids to turn in that homework packet at night. So
Break free of the work week.
That's
what I say.
Right? Yeah. And it was a lot because my brother, who's, my nephew's, or my brother's son, my nephew, right, is my brother doesn't work Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So he's like, I want it free when dad's free.
Oh,
so,
my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
So
I'm like,
precious.
he's going to be such a smart cookie
I
when
was
he
going
gets
to
older.
say, that's a guy to look out for.
Oh, yeah, I know. Definitely. So I wanted to tell a quick story. You two already know this, but some of the audience might not, that I was introduced to you guys through some mutual friends, Hawk and Ken's from Van Life Co. or Van of Our Dreams. And they told me to start following you guys when you guys were building up the Sunraider at the time. And they knew you guys through van life and through, going out and living in vans and camping in the middle of nowhere and having fun. And then you guys got that Sunraider, and I was like, ooh, okay, I'm seriously interested now. And then we've kind of talked a little bit here and there. And then I had the chance to run into you guys at SEMA this year, which was a lot. And I walked up to you and Mac, and I was like, hey, I got to tell you something. And I think you kind of turned to me. You didn't mean this on purpose, but I think you were like, all right, who's this? What's going on? What's happening? And then I think we have mutual friends, and I started, and broke all barriers, and we, since then we've chatted a few times and had it, it's a lot more comfortable.
To clarify, I had just gotten off of a panel and I think I cried. Was that the one where I cried?
Maybe. I might have caught you after that moment, but.
I will say those big shows are always, Overland Expo and SEMA and all of the different large events that we go to, they're always just because we spend a lot of our time pretty close to alone. And then we come to these events and I mean, it takes like a week to recover from them. They're sensory overload.
They really are. Yeah. And I was there with another friend, like a mutual friend of mine, Max. And I was saying, oh, I need to meet up with these people. And he's like, oh, I want to meet up with these people too. But we didn't say who we were meeting up with. And then we happened to both meet up with you kind of all at the same time. And so he's turned to me, he's like, wait, what, you're meeting them? And I'm like, wait, you're meeting them? And then, yeah.
I didn't realize.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh, all of that was happening at once. And I was obviously very caught off guard by it. No, that's awesome. Max is such a great guy. I really am looking forward to being able to get moving again because I feel like we need to organize some sort of trip together.
Yeah. As soon as things open up, let me know. I would love to go out and hang out with that Tundra.
Yes.
Not so much you guys.
We're cool too, but I get it.
Yeah. No, definitely. So how many vehicles have you had since you started this overland or this digital nomad adventures, let's say?
4.
Are you counting? But I would say 5 because the element really kicked off the whole.
But that's not part of the digital
not,
nomad part.
No, that's like 1.0, and we've had 4 since we've been in the 2.0 version of our travels.
Okay.
That's then when we started working
Full
from
time.
the road.
Yeah. So we've had 4 since we've been on the road full time. And then the Honda Element was like a 6-month stint on our savings post-college.
Okay. And so then, yeah, we had the Volkswagen van again. Yeah. Then we bought the Toyota Sunraider. Then we got a Toyota Tacoma. And now we're in the Tundra with the 4-wheel camper.
Right. That camper is rad. But I want to go back to the van. What setup did you guys run in the van? Did you have anything special in there? What were some key features that you were running inside that van?
Oh, I would say we had some special features. So we bought a bone stock 1985 van again. And that was actually very intentional because we knew that they were a little prone to being problem children when it comes to running. So we kind of wanted to be the ones that completely modernized the vehicle so we could use it as an opportunity to get to know it. So we could then work on it if anything came up while we were on the road. So we took about a year to build it up from being bone stock. We did a Subaru engine swap. So it went from being was it a 1.9 originally to a 2.5 liter?
I believe so.
So 90 to 180 horsepower. And it was really nice to keep up with like modern traffic or just that it would turn on when you wanted it to. Other than that, there was a lot of stuff that just needed to bring it up to any sort of working condition because it was really had zero work done to it since
we had steel bumpers added to it with swing away arms and some extra storage back there. We had bigger tires and wheels put on as well.
Bigger brake system, new headlights, a roof rack, a solar kind of inverter setup. We've come a long way in our power setup since then, but otherwise we just wanted to make it super comfortable for day-to-day life and working. So we built a second table so we could both have a table when we were working, put in a new pop top. Essentially we just the curtains. Oh God, we got rid of the curtains. Some seriously questionable stains on them. So yeah, just like really just kind of overhauled it, but we wanted to do as much of it ourselves as we could, just so we could build a relationship with him.
Yeah, definitely. So how long were you in the van?
A year and a half.
Yeah, something like that. Right around a year and a half that we were living in it full time. We had it for about a year before we hit the road with it.
So by the time we sold it, we had it for 3 years total.
Okay, nice. And then, so what made you move from the van out of that van and looking towards that Sunraider?
So the problem started arising with reliability. We had one engine go bad. Then we got that one replaced, and the next engine went bad immediately.
60 miles.
And then we got another engine put in. So by the time we were done, we had four engines in it.
Oh, wow.
Like 3 transmissions, a new radiator.
And so because of all of the cost of ownership and just all the mechanical issues, and I will say that ours was a rare case. They're not always that bad, but we were just having so many issues that we just had to cut it loose. And we were looking for something that was a Toyota, and we were wanting 4x4.
We're actually, I would say we're Toyota people. I've had either a Honda or a Toyota, every car I've ever had. And you grew up in Toyota. So we pretty much knew immediately when we were thinking about switching that we were interested in something Toyota. And I don't remember how we first came across the Sunraider as a concept.
I was just looking around at 4x4 campers and like ideas for it. And then I just stumbled across the Sunraiders, and we looked around at a bunch of other stuff too. We had looked around at some Japanese imports as well. Like they have some 4x4 vans that have campers. And so we just looked all the way around, and it just so happened that we found a Sunraider, which doesn't really happen that often. That was a 4x4.
Yeah.
And so we just decided to pull the trigger on it.
Oh yeah, I bought it. We saw it. It came up online. I called the lady who was in Montana. I was just like, if you don't sell this, I will fly tomorrow. And I flew tomorrow and I bought it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you bought it, how much work was going to need to go into that?
We thought 2 months worth of work.
I think that, the project's scale expanded the more we dove in, just because when we first got it, we lived in it and it was totally fine for a few months. And then we were going to bring it back and just do some modest work to it. And then as we pulled stuff apart, we realized that some of it wouldn't go back in. It was just like the way it was built, it wasn't meant to be taken out and put back in.
Everything was like stapled or glued to the wall. And so cabinets like didn't come out in pieces. Like you had to take a sledgehammer to it to get it out.
And so then we realized that since we were eliminating certain aspects of the appliance systems and utilities, that we would have these big gaping holes. And so all of a sudden,
it's like an onion. You just keep pulling back the layers.
All of a sudden we realized we were going to have to do some fiberglassing work. And then we were like, oh, well, we're going to have to paint the fiberglass that we're laying down. So then it turned into a whole body work thing, a whole paint thing.
I'm sweating just like
thinking about it.
And
yeah.
And then, it was just basically rebuilding the entire interior from scratch because we had to destroy it to get down there.
I want to make it explicitly clear from a mechanical standpoint and from a living standpoint, it was fine. It was totally fine. The reason why we were so keen on doing a build and why we've had to do a build in every single one of our vehicles is because all of our vehicles up until then had been built in 1985. And the amount of power, if we had to look at like our life from one aspect, the amount of power that we require on a day-to-day basis to get our work done, we couldn't retroactively work with what we had and get what we needed. So that's why we ended up diving in a bit deeper and then realizing that we really did have to take it all the way down to bare fiberglass and start over.
Yeah. And I saw the photos. I think you posted it today on your Instagram. So like it was
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and it was finished at that point, and it looked immaculate inside. It was gorgeous.
She was.
Yeah. Was that Amelia?
Amelia, yeah, named after Amelia Earhart.
Okay, very nice. Well, I don't want to, hurt the heart there anymore. So I wanted to move over to your next vehicle, the Tacoma. I know you quickly jumped ship after a little, like a small little road trip you went on and a curvy, windy road, and quickly found out that it wasn't really the rig that was for you guys. And then on the way home back to, was it Orlando or?
Yeah.
On the way back to Orlando, you found a Tacoma 2008 and you picked that up. And I wanted to actually show a little video clip of that Tacoma.
Oh my gosh, I miss that guy.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do.
So what I really liked about the Tacoma is how simple it was, how you didn't it was somewhat of a bare bones build.
Somewhat.
So that's what I really wanted to highlight. So let's see if I can jump this over there real quick. Share.
Oh my gosh, are we going to be able to see it?
I think so. I didn't do audio.
Gosh,
so
no, you did it.
Share, here we go. Is audio going? No.
Into building our modest home in Lando's truck bed. For those who are interested, we will be doing a build video on our little setup in Lando and everything about the 3 days and less than $400 it took to build. We're really actually pretty proud of what we built in Lando because it felt like we took everything that we had learned from Amelia and were able to apply it to this new and actually very, very different setup. The day quickly came for Amelia to go home with her new family.
So that was it. And what I really liked about that setup is that, it's just 2 drawers and a bed and you guys were able to make everything work.
Yeah. It was surprising how much we could fit in that thing.
Yeah.
Crazy thing is, we have just about everything. Like, there's hardly anything extra from what was in that build as in what's in here. And we are full. which is crazy. Like that
Wow.
had so much storage.
Well, it did have the Yakima box up top. that
Yeah,
had,
and that was like the big thing
had
for all
12
year.
cubic feet or something, and so that's sort of where all that
Right.
went.
Before we jump too far ahead, I just saw the comment come in that from Bryant Murphy. He asked, what was the top speed of the Sunraider with a tailwind on a slight downhill?
I got the Sunraider
After the build?
before the build.
Okay.
Before the build, when we were driving it across the country, I got the Sunraider probably up to 75 or 80 going downhill.
Nice.
And
Were you white knuckling it? Like,
it was not that bad, actually.
No?
That thing actually was way sturdier in the wind than our Vanagon was, because we drove them both across the country together. I drove the van, he drove the Sunraider.
But that,
That was through Kansas. I mean, it was sturdy on the ground.
that was when it
Okay.
had the dually system. So I had the wider stance with the
Mhm.
rear axle and just more rubber on the ground, and it just handled so much better then.
Yeah.
got it.
And I would say after that, we were not nearly as comfortable driving it that fast. I would say that we maxed out at probably like 60, 65.
Sure.
No,
Not
not
much.
even. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to drive it over 55, I think.
Okay. Well, I mean, you'll save on gas mileage that way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I loved the walk around that you guys did on that Tacoma, on the 2008 Tacoma, and how you, I mean, I saw that you had the rack up top where you had the Yakima rack where you stored a bunch of things. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is you were at that time living out of a Yeti that was behind the seat.
Ugh.
Was it that bad?
I will never use a cooler again.
No?
No, I love food too much to
Okay.
have a cooler. I think that the problem, we were buying ice like every 2 days, 3 days, and it would be like completely, and we just were ruining so much food by having a cooler. If I could change anything, the one thing I would have done was I would have put some sort of trucker fridge in there. I can't express my distaste for coolers enough.
So what are you running in the Tundra?
In the Tundra, the four-wheel camper comes with an isotherm fridge, which is,
Okay.
Stand up.
yeah, it's a stand-up
Fridge.
fridge. It's fine. It's not the greatest thing, but it works just fine. And
Yeah.
we've had fridges in every other setup. And again, like from a financial standpoint, if you're buying $5 bags of ice every 3 days over a long trip, you're
It
pretty
adds
much,
up.
if you're buying a $300 Yeti cooler on top of that, you're pretty much going to end up at the price of a trucker fridge. And
Yeah.
9 months to a year. So if you look at it from that perspective,
Yep.
it just makes sense to buy a fridge.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. I have a Yeti, but I go out on weekend adventures, maybe 5 days max, and at that point, if I'm conservative, I might still have ice in the cooler at the end of it. But, I'm not having to worry about, okay, what's next for me?
Yeah.
It's like I get home and I clean out the cooler and I'm done. I, wash my hands of that, and
We were also spending some time in some relatively remote areas, and it started to get hard to find ice. Like in Labrador, it was just like it's just so remote out there that like you go to the gas station and like you're getting gas and that's it. That's all they really have. So
okay.
yeah,
No Snickers?
they had some pretty unique candy there actually. Labrador is a very interesting place.
Where is that? I've never heard of it.
Labrador is, it's Newfoundland. Labrador it's one province, two separate pieces of land in eastern maritime Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, it borders Quebec.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I've been to Quebec and I've been to Newfoundland, but not Labrador.
Yeah, just like due
So
north.
sandwiched between them on the
Yeah.
Okay.
mainland. Yeah.
All right. Very nice. So what was the like catastrophic event that made you move from the Tacoma to the Tundra?
There wasn't one.
Yeah, it was the Tacoma was always meant to sort of be a temporary thing. It was
Okay.
it was a quick thing. As you said, we bought it on our way home.
It was on a whim.
And
Yes.
so we bought it, we spent a weekend building it, and then we took off. And the whole point was just so we didn't have to sit still while we waited for what was next. And
Mhm.
so we kind of were just traveling in it, knowing that it was only a temporary solution. And that's why we didn't worry too much about power or things like that. We just figured we could coffee shop and library that whole time. And
which we did.
And yeah, it worked out just fine. So like during that process, we drove from Florida all the way up to Newfoundland and Labrador and all of Canada. And on our way up is when we stopped at Mainline Overland in Philadelphia. And that's when we talked to them about four-wheel campers and all that stuff, because we had this in mind.
Owen had never seen a flatbed four-wheel camper in person before. I had, because I had been to Northwest Overland Rally and got to see Mule's first one. And that's when I was just like, well, I'm thinking that Owen brought four-wheel campers up as a possible option, specifically the flatbed, actually before we ever even went on the road, like a long time ago. But it was never in our price range / it's a huge commitment. We didn't know how long we were going to be doing this. And so that's when we decided to circle back to it. I finally got to see one in person and I was like, I'm thinking that's right. So we went up to Philly and Owen got to see one in person for the first time.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily one event. It was, if we were going to say it was a catastrophic event, it would have been with the Sunraider, actually, and not with the Tacoma. And so on our way up through Canada, we put it on a deposit with Mainline, and then we were just traveling that whole time waiting for it to be done, basically.
We actually put our deposit down the day we took the ferry to Newfoundland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you know it was going to be a Tundra when was that already decided in the platform that you were going to be getting?
That's what we were leaning towards, because when we put down the deposit, we had to put down the deposit
for the size
on the Hawk, which is for the
full-size
trucks. So it couldn't be a Tacoma, and we wanted a Toyota. So it was pretty much decided at that point. We contemplated some of the other full-size trucks. Like, I think that they really love Rams, but we just decided that since we were going to go gas anyway, we were just going to roll with the Tundra.
And we were doing gas for South America. So, and I think that the other reason why we're so hell-bent on Toyotas for full-time travel is we have international travel goals, and Toyota or Mercedes are really your only two options for completely universal part availability, not necessarily on the specific model, but from a brand perspective. So I wouldn't say that we too seriously contemplated anything else once we were met all the criteria that we were looking for.
Yeah, I learned a lot about that from actually Aiden, who's a mutual friend kind of ours as well. I got to meet up with Aiden as he was traveling down through California and going to Mexico. I helped him work on his Land Cruiser a little bit. He stopped off at my house and we got to help him out. So that was a really cool time. And I was asking him a lot of questions about South America with his Land Cruiser and how's it going to work out. And he was saying a lot, like they're all over the place down there, and I kind of knew that, but just to have somebody else tell you, it just reinsures it. So
and he's down there now already.
Yeah, right. So when they were building the Tundra, did they put other axles under it? Did they add an e-locker? Is the engine the same, drivetrain the same? Did they change any of that?
Baby girl's got a whole lot going on under there.
We added an air locker in the rear. We didn't do one in the front because they don't offer a factory e-locker from Toyota on the Tundras.
No.
So we opted to do that in the rear.
A completely overhauled Dobinson suspension. We have their heaviest duty setup. We also have
some airbags.
Which
in the back.
I've popped one, so I know that for a fact they make a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think otherwise.
Otherwise, it's pretty much
it's more like recovery and safety, other upgrades that we did.
Yeah, the axle's the same. It's done pretty well. We haven't re-geared or anything either.
Because in tow haul, the gearing on tow haul mode, it feels like it was made for this. It feels so good. So we put it in tow haul actually 100% of the time, and it feels great.
That's awesome. So can you give us the general layout then of the camper?
Yeah.
So we're sitting in the rear part of the camper. So right next to me.
So we're rear driver's side right now.
Okay.
So right next to me is the back window, and then there's a seat across from us as well. And the laptop's on the table right now. To Mac's left
is our whole kitchen. I would spin you around, but we also have our mic attached, so I'd be dragging a whole bunch of equipment around. So our whole kitchen is down this side. So 2-burner, sink, heater, refrigerator, cabinetry. Then our bed faces is over the actual cab of the truck. And the great thing about the 4-wheel camper flatbeds is underneath the bed is all storage for us. So that's where our clothes and stuff are. It is tons of space.
I think we could spin the computer around.
Oh, you want to? Oh my God, I didn't clean up. Okay, here we go. So you can kind of.
Yeah.
Here, that's good.
You can hop out if you wanted to point something out.
Oh yeah, I can.
That's what I was saying.
Make sure you're wearing pants.
I am wearing pants. Come on, just for you guys. Okay, so here's our bed. It can be popped up so. All of this is storage. This is the kitchen side. So sink and stuff. This side, oh my gosh, you guys, this truck has not moved in 27 days now. This is more cabinetry. Our litter box is down in this cabinet. You can see the hole. This is a spice cabinet thing, and then all of our batteries are in here. And that's pretty much what we got going on back here.
Yeah, it's actually quite quaint, and it looks very I want to say feng shui, but it looks like it has a good flow to it.
It does.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about the flatbeds is that you get this floor plan. This is the only floor plan available this way. And it's the only floor plan available in the flatbeds. So if you get a flatbed, this is exactly how yours is going to be.
But we also have been in, at this rate now, numerous other layouts, and we just were so attracted to this. I think that when you live in such a small space, the illusion of space, or the delusion, depending on how you look at it, of space is just by having things compartmentalized. And so we really loved it. This one had a distinct dining / desk area. This one has a distinct kitchen area. Everything has got its place, which then gives the illusion of space. And just having more. And also the ceiling height in here, it's 6'3" or 6'4".
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it's got the great clerestory with the windows all around. It's just really spacious feeling, which is what we need since we spend so much time in here, particularly from a work standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. I had a question come in about your solar. Do you have solar on the top?
Yeah, we have two 160 watt panels, so 320 total. They're overland solar panels. They're the thin ones, so they're lightweight, so it makes it easy to pop the top still, which was important to us because otherwise it can get real heavy and be a huge pain to pop it. We also have an overland solar
portable panel
that's 120 watts that you can plug to the exterior of the 4-wheel camper. So with that brings us up to, math is hard.
I don't know why I'm acting like I'm thinking about it, because I'm not.
It's 440 watts total when we have all that out, which is really nice. It keeps us topped off.
Yeah, and I will say that portable panel is, despite the fact that there's more wattage on the roof, is the workhorse of our solar setup, because we have 50 feet of range with the cord. So we can park in the shade, get that panel out into direct sunlight. And when our refrigerator is running, it's the offset. It's better to park in the shade and have just the one panel in the sun than it is to have the rig in the sun to get the panels up there, because then the fridge has to work so hard.
Sure. So that one panel will cover your fridge.
Oh, for sure.
More than that thing is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it does a really good job. And the advantage of it being deployable is that you can also angle it specifically for sunlight. And so it's not lying flat on the ground. You could put it up vertically or whatever it is, depending on where the sun is located.
Yeah.
Got it. That's pretty neat. Shy asked, what airbags are you running?
Firestone. I don't know the exact model, but they're Firestone.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Christopher Howcraft asked, what's the miles per gallon like?
We get right around 11.
11 to 12. What?
depending if you have a tailwind and it's downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say we were expecting worse.
I was hoping we would get 10, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I do think that regearing would actually help us in that scenario.
But it's a trade-off though. I feel like it's kind of a trade-off because like you either get gearing for being on road or you get gearing for being off-road. And I feel like I don't know. I don't want to regear, to be completely honest.
Did you change the tire size?
Yeah.
We're at 35-inch tires.
So gearing would help.
Yeah.
It would definitely help. Okay. Okay.
Just leave it in the tow haul mode.
Yeah. But I will say we didn't want 35s. Mainline was actually like, we would something above recommend them. So they were just like, we're going to do it. We're going to put 35s on. I'm so glad that they essentially made us put 35s on. They're great.
So how does it handle off-road? Is it top heavy?
It's definitely top heavy. So going off camber can feel kind of scary, but it's still
get after it pretty hard though.
It's done everything we've asked it to.
Yeah.
And it's great because the V8's got a lot of torque and power, so we can really crawl over a lot of things when we want to.
We go real low and slow. We are not fast off-road because everything that we own is in here. We also have a cat, and she is also in here. And so they're also, just because we are top heavy, we carry the sway. Like if we start to like sway really hard, if we don't like go slow and like mitigate that sway, it can get really out of hand really quickly. So, but otherwise, like if we want to do something, we've only turned around on one road. And it was just because the sun was going down and we weren't supposed to be out there after dark.
So it's not that bad is what you're telling me.
Yeah, the disadvantages of the full size are still there, like the width of the truck and the longer wheelbase, but it still is a champion.
We're still doing a lot of stuff that we've never done before and otherwise would have never attempted if we were in this vehicle. So
like we're not doing stuff that you're doing in your Toyota pickup.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it's built differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not wheeling. We're carrying all of our crap out to our favorite camp spots.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It'd be as if I put the rooftop tent on my Tacoma, which is bone stock, right? And then, filled the bed up with some camping gear, and I'd be doing something similar that you guys would, and not compared to when I'm crawling in my big lifted, highly modified truck. Yeah,
right.
I understand.
Yeah.
So what's next for after the pandemic? What's the game plan? Are you gonna just get out of Dodge and just
So what is it? Is it mid-April? Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah.
So we're in mid-April. Our goal was, before things got weird, was to cross the border into Canada to take the coastal route up to Alaska in the middle of May. So
that's 1 month away.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't suspect that the border will be open into Canada at that point.
No.
But I could be wrong.
Hopeful thinking. That is still the goal. Even if we get pushed back a bit further, we're still willing to make it happen. The thing is, the window of opportunity is so short up there due to weather. And the reason why we are going to be kind of hard with that date was we really want to get the most out of it. It's a long drive up to Alaska, and we really wanted to take our time because we actually move pretty slow, just to really take in as much as we can. We have a lot of room for meeting people and getting suggestions for things to do once we're up there, but that's still the plan.
Okay.
I haven't looked fully into it, but her brother, who lives in Fairbanks, had mentioned that the ferry from Washington is still that is still a possibility. I don't know how excited we are to jump on a boat with a bunch of people in close quarters
for 3 days.
Right.
But
yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So we're still keeping it as an option just in case, but we'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
So where did you want to go?
I've got a big map full of all sorts of stuff. Driving up to the Arctic Ocean isn't necessarily at the top of my list, just to go up there. to me, I'm really more interested in seeing like some of the stuff on the southern coast and the glaciers and
I
all
would
that.
really like to go out onto the island chain as well, if we could.
So yeah, there's just kind of stuff like that. All the national parks are, not all of them, obviously. Some of them are very difficult to get to, but we would like to see a bunch of the parks and also see a bunch of stuff on the way up to Canada. Through Canada, excuse me.
Yeah, that coastal route just looks incredible. So yeah, I think that we're, like I said, we're keeping things pretty open just because we're not entirely sure what our timeline's going to be, but you know, open to suggestions if anybody's got some.
Well, if you're heading through Sacramento, you're always welcome to crash.
Oh, you're so sweet. I would love that.
Yeah.
And we come through Sacramento.
We actually come through Sacramento like all the time. There's the most delicious mochi place in Sacramento. And if you've never been, we will take you.
I'm interested. I've never been. I don't know which one you are referring to.
It's like in a neighborhood. I dream about it. It's so good.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be really fun. And you can plug in. You can use the power. I'm not worried about it.
Can't hide money.
Yeah, and Four Wheel Campers is actually in Woodland, so that's why we've come through several times. Last year we took a few flights out of Sacramento and we left our truck at Four Wheel Campers headquarters.
We also snapped the bolts on our flatbed and had to do a blast out to Four Wheel Campers to get that fixed. So
that doesn't sound fun at all.
No,
we're just so hardcore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking of how it handles off road, we did that like long water crossing in the Mojave and it handled just fine.
Yeah, like our whole grill was underwater. It was particularly deep when we went through.
That sounds awesome.
It was like, I feel like it would have been like chest deep if I was standing in the middle.
Yeah, it was just at probably the limit of what we could have done because it was right at the
camper door,
below the door of the camper, and I'm very confident the water would have gotten into the camper through that door, but
everything else was fine.
Well, and the rig's so heavy, so you weren't going to be lifting up and floating away. But the problem is then the dirt on the ground is so soft, so you're just going to dig yourself a hole.
Right.
I think that they must have put rock
it's a really solid bottom at that particular crossing. Like it's the trail, at least from what I had read. So I just was like, fuck it. I know it's a solid bottom. I'm just going to go right through. We didn't walk it.
No, we didn't walk it. And we were alone. Oh my God, we're crazy. Anyways.
So Brian asked, how do you research your travel destinations?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a question for you.
I do a lot of perusing around, just searching general areas for hiking with stuff like All Trails or Outbound Collective. And I also look on sites for photographers as well to look for places that are particularly scenic that might be a little bit harder to find otherwise. And then I do a lot of perusing around Google Maps. We were recently told about Google Earth's features. Like a guy was showing us around and there's like points you can just click on and see exactly like
full topographic imagery. Oh. Yeah.
And it gives you some really cool perspective and you can kind of like get ideas from there, like what might be cool to go check out. We also are lucky enough to get a lot of really good recommendations from people, and to me that's like some of the best stuff we get.
Yeah,
sure. What is some of the stuff that you're interested in going to see? Like what sparks your interest and you're like, no, that's absolutely something I need to check out?
Lots of geographical features, nature.
Yeah, we always are looking for like natural wonders.
You're a natural wonder.
So we look for that, but like one of the like best things for me is to know that it's not going to be like, if it's an off the beaten path type of thing where it's not going to be crowded, there's a chance for some solitude. And to me, that's like something that really bumps things up several notches in my book.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's always swimming holes.
Oh, that's actually one of Owen's number one things. Like, I'm always in search of the best key lime pie. Owen is always in search of a good swimming hole.
I got you, Mac. I can make a killer key lime pie.
Oh, yeah?
Yes!
So when you get up here,
speaking my love language. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Oh my God, I love
lime straight off the tree.
Oh, nice.
I'm there. I'm so there.
Yes. All right. Well, now that we've solved when you guys are coming up, which sounds like tomorrow, we're gonna go have some good food downtown that we're gonna have to order out apparently nowadays.
Yeah.
Womp.
There is good food downtown in Sacramento.
There's a really good food downtown. There's some good bar hopping scenes. It's a fun little, it's really spread out though. So it's not like a downtown, like it's all crammed into an area, unfortunately. So there's a lot of Uber or lifting that happens, but Sac's fun. It's a good place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of our many times where we were waiting on our van again to get work done on it. We were in Sacramento and we got an Airbnb for a few days and walked around the city.
It was amazing. I feel like Sacramento has got to be one of the most underrated cities in California. Like larger cities, I always have such a good time. We find the best food, lots of amazing ethnic food, which can be really hard to come by. Just really, really, really enjoy our time there.
Yeah, it's a diverse city. I mean, it's fun. I mean, and it's hot here in the summer, so it's the sun going out at night in the summer is a lot of fun because you just walk around and have fun, and it's not, it drops down to like the 80s, and you're still in shorts and t-shirts and having, now everybody's out and about because it's not 110 or whatever outside. So yeah. Christopher Howcraft asked, are there any downsides to the Tundra?
Gas mileage.
Gas for sure.
And then I think it's just the general full size disadvantages of it being a longer wheelbase and wider. It's definitely taken some getting used to because it's like 4 inches wider than a Tacoma.
Yeah. And that makes a big difference on some trails.
And so that's like on the Mojave specifically, like there were some spots where we were just so tight.
We couldn't have been an inch wider and have made it down the Mojave Road because we had both mirrors in and would have to like hold our hands out the window to hold like branches of Joshua tree out of the way. So yeah, I would say that in the future, I would always err on a smaller size truck, but the American market is not going in that direction. So it's getting harder and harder to find a good, smaller, more comfortable truck.
It seems like a lot of the influencers now, I don't know if you've noticed, but they're going to Dodges.
Oh, really?
I mean, a few of the people I'm following. Yeah, they went from, building Tacomas to going to, or Forerunners to going to these massive Dodges.
Yeah, I like
it's not for me.
Yeah, me neither.
The Prospectors are real popular, I think.
Yeah, I mean they're cool and they're great, but stuff that's that big isn't going where we want to go. So that's just the long and the short of it.
Sure. No, I'm right there with you because I have a mini truck, right? That's
that's so precious.
It lets me go many places and through tight corners on very difficult trails. So it works great.
Yeah.
So, well, wonderful. I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out. I have one final question for you guys.
Okay.
If you were to have $1 million in your pocket right now, would you guys choose another build?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so, probably.
Anything in particular?
I hate to say it. I think that's something pretty close to what Aiden has.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love Aiden's.
I love Troopies. I love the way they drive. I love both like 2 solid axles. Like that thing is just it is a beast off-road. It's smaller. It's a comfortable living space. They're on every continent. Seriously, if I could get a left-hand drive turbo diesel Troopy, shut up and take my money.
I think that there's a guy in Germany, Maltec, who does some really, really nice chassis builds, and they've done one on like an 80 series where they extended the frame, and it's real nice.
Yeah.
But I will never have that much money.
Yeah.
What didn't Live Work Wonder?
Yeah, Jorge and Jessica.
They just were over there, right?
On that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Cool. They're cool cats too.
Yeah. So I think that something along those lines would definitely be the vein that we would probably put ourselves in. It's a lot easier to ship. It's just great no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
So I'm down to solid axle swap your Tundra for you if you want.
Oh yeah, can you do
Oh,
that?
geez. Got it. That like thought hasn't even crossed my mind as a realm of possibility.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Huh.
I never
can
even
do
thought
that.
about that.
Food for thought.
Yeah. Keep it up there.
Yeah, right
We'll
there.
do a collab.
Yeah, you do insane stuff. You're so much more handy than we are.
Yeah. Hey, you know, you start one thing and you rip it apart, and then you have to figure out how to get it together. And you know,
No
and then,
truer words. No
Yeah.
truer words.
then all of a sudden you're buying welders and plasma cutters and grinders, and you know.
And then the next thing you know, you've been building a Sunraider for 9 months of your life.
Through that. Well, this is, I want to give you guys an opportunity to share who you guys are, how do people can find you, where can people go to get in contact with you? Go ahead.
Okay, we have a website. It's boundfornowhere.com, which is probably the easiest place to go to find everything. We have like a little online shop with like stickers and stuff that we design. We also have a YouTube channel and an Instagram account, which is, I would say that if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in our like life, go to Instagram. It's way more up to date. YouTube, we take more of an educational approach, I would say. Like to share information on like stuff that we do and just educate the people, because try to pay it forward. A lot of people have been very generous with knowledge for us, and it's our way to give it back. But otherwise, Bound for Nowhere and all the places on the internet.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm sad it's over.
I appreciate that. Well, we'll have to catch up next time when you are cruising up this way to head up into Canada.
The next time it will be face to face.
Deal. Sounds
Perfect.
great.
All right.
Well, thanks a lot. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.